So we are back in the games room. I know what you're thinking. I know, right? More pickups. Well, actually not this time, to be honest with you. I mean, yes, you can see a pickup in front of me. It is an Amiga A500 Mini, but I'm not going to be really focusing on this. It's more about this, which is a list of games that I'm going to put on it. So if you want to see unboxing, you want to know more about this, there's thousands of videos out there, absolutely hundreds. Everyone and their dog has made a video on this. But if you want to watch, I recommend you watch Tutti UK's, because after watching his, I actually got it. So he did kind of sell it to me. I wasn't initially going to get this, but he showed the potentials of this, and I thought, why not? And there's other reasons as well, which I'll get into in a bit. Also, Generation Pixel as well, he's done a fantastic video. So go and watch their videos. I'm not going to talk about that side of it. So I did have an Amiga back in the day, and you probably noticed I kind of collect a lot of shit. I've got a lot of arcades and consoles, but I don't have any Amiga stuff, and I don't have Speccy or Commodore, and I did have those back in the day. Well, I played with them at least, but the Amiga I had full on. I had it for quite a few years, but I got rid of it and I moved on to the Mega Drive. So I do have mixed sort of feelings about this. I got it very early on, so I got this, I think late 86, maybe 87, maybe early 87, and I wanted a Commodore 128, but my folks actually got me this. I didn't even know what this was at the time. So I was obviously, I knew about games. I had my mates, I used to play Commodore 64 with them. My cousin had a Commodore 64, so I used to buy games of that and play that. Some of my friends had Speccies, but mostly it was Commodore 64, and I was begging them for a 128. And yeah, I read the magazines, but I never knew about this Amiga. I don't know why. I had never seen one before until my dad brought one home. Had the monitor and the big keyboard, and it was all amazing. But I was pretty shocked. Not shocked just for the fact that, you know, I've got this massive, amazing machine in front of me, but I was shocked because there's no games. There was literally no games that came with it, or there was, you know, they didn't buy it at the time as well. And it was so new, there was basically no games in the shops as well. So I will go through the ones I eventually did get, but at the beginning I was stuck playing things like, I'm sure I was playing Minesweeper and Solitaire, and I was mixing music, I was doing all sorts, but I wasn't playing games for the first, I think, month. And then I only got 2 games, which I'll show you later. So I got 2 games, and for that I was playing for about 6 months with just 2 games. There was nothing on it, so I was gutted. And I had the Amiga for about 2 years, and I'll mention some of the games as I go along, but for me it was all about getting that arcade experience. I was, even at that age, it was all about the arcade, and for me it didn't deliver. So I was on the lookout for something else, and I moved on to the Mega Drive. So when the Mega Drive first got released, I got Mega Drive Import, and I kind of ditched this and left this to a side. So a lot of my games you'll see are very early Amiga games. Later games I didn't really play. I was full on Mega Drive, and then Mega Drive I ditched for the Super Nintendo. So strange sort of journey, but that's how it was. So what I did was I put together a list of games that really I want to play. Now, these are the ones I had, and these are the first ones that came to mind when I thought of the Amiga. These are the ones I want to experience again, because I have not played these games since I last picked up my Amiga so many years ago. So it's kind of strange, the sort of memories that I had of them and how they actually turned out. So I thought it was kind of interesting, the list I put together. It's kind of not what you expect. So there are some sort of games you probably would expect, but there's a lot in there that you would never ever dream that someone would put on their list to play. So I thought it was kind of interesting. I thought, why not share it with you guys? And you know what? If you want to do it yourself, that's be nice to hear what Amiga games you want to stick on your Amiga A500. You know, not just the obvious ones. You know, just ones that's just stuck in your head. That it's like, did I really play that? Was it really that good? That's that kind of thing. But anyway, let's get on with the first game. So the first spot on the nostalgia playlist for the Amiga goes to 2 games. So I have kind of cheated here, but they were the 2 games I got after about a month of having the Amiga. So for me, they kind of feel like the same game, and they've got similar name as well, kind of giving it away. But when I went to the store, they had literally no games apart from these 2 that looked remotely interesting. And yeah, I think they maybe had something like a chess or something like that. But these two kind of looked interesting, and it is Sky Fox and Arctic Fox. So two Fox games, and nothing to do with each other, but both, I think they're both EA games, and they're both little clamshell boxes. And yeah, they were the only thing that remotely looked playable. And I had those two games for about 6 months, no joking. Well, it felt like 6 months anyway. And yeah, I played the hell out of them because that's all I had for the longest time. Games just didn't come out during that time. I don't know if it was the era I was in or whatever, but you literally did not see Amiga games for a very, very long time. So Arctic Fox is probably the better of the two games, but I did prefer Sky Fox back in the day. Arctic Fox is more like Battlezone, while Sky Fox is more like a sort of a flying simulator game. So I did like, obviously I wanted something like Afterburner, so I probably like Sky Fox because of that. Arctic Fox is probably the better one, to be honest with you. Unfortunately, I couldn't get Sky Fox to work on this device, but yeah, Arctic Fox kind of works, but you can't play. It just loads up. So a bit of a shame I can't show proper footage there, but that was the first spot on the nostalgia playlist. So in second place goes to a game I had to include. It was my third game, so it's quite an important one to me, but it wasn't really what I was looking for at the time. Like I mentioned, there wasn't many games, and then this one turned up on the shelf, and it was a fantastic box. Diagnosis, so you know you've got some beautiful graphics and beautiful box art there. And it was the same name of another game that I really wanted to get that was out on the Commodore 64. It was of course Barbarian. Now I would eventually get the other Barbarian, but this would have to do for the meantime. Now, like I mentioned, I wanted more arcadey games, so this is a little bit disappointing to me at the time. Now it was a little bit just memorizing where to go and memorizing the traps and what have you, and it didn't play that well. But of course I didn't have many games, so I played it to death. You know, that's what you did. You had no choice. You didn't have many games, but I still have fond memories of that one. And the strange thing about this one is how I remembered it. For some reason I pictured it just like Legendary Axe, the graphics, the style of graphics. So that's on the PC Engine, but it's not at all. I mean, the graphics are completely different than I remembered, but as soon as I saw it, it sort of triggered some memories, and I remembered where all the traps were as well. I couldn't believe it, like on the bridge, and where the bricks or whatever fall on your head. I still had that sort of implanted in my brain, even though I completely forgot what it looked like. So it's strange how the memory works, but I still remember not really enjoying it, and still probably the case, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people do like that game, but it's not my kind of game. I want more arcadey stuff. So the fourth game I got is another game that's, yeah, it's not arcadey, so I didn't really enjoy it that much at the time, but I didn't have many games, and that was Defender of the Crown. Now it is a cracking good game, so don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it. But it's not arcadey, so it's not one of my favourites, but it's one game that I wanted to see again. I remember all the cutscenes, I remember doing all the fencing and the jousting and all the rest of it, so I did want to see this again. I was interested to play this one for that reasons, but it's not one that I'm going to play again to complete. It's just to get that little scratch, that itch of nostalgia. So that was number 4. Number 5 goes to a game which is absolutely amazing. It's probably one of my favourites on the list, and it is Bobble. So finally I got my arcade game, and it was amazing for the time. So it was almost arcade perfect. Although I thought it was arcade perfect, playing it again, it's not quite there. Graphically, yes it is. Sound, it's there, but playability wise, maybe it's the little controllers that we got with the A500, but it certainly doesn't play as well as remember. But still happy to hear those sounds and see those graphics again. But there's a lot better versions out there, so it's not one that I'm going to play for playing sake. It's just to scratch that Amiga itch. So the next game is pretty much on the same vein. It is another, for the same guys, so it's another Tato game. It is Rainbow Islands. So Rainbow Islands, again, it's graphically was superb at the time. I got a lot of good memories playing it for hours and hours, but when I'm playing it now, it just doesn't feel as arcade perfect as it felt at that time. For some reason you thought you had the arcade at home on those games, but it's not quite there. There's better versions to play. Mega Drive version or the PC Engine version, for me, plays a lot better than the Amiga. Maybe it doesn't look as nice, but yeah, from playability wise, there's much better ways of playing it, unfortunately. Again, scratch that nostalgia itch. The next one is definitely a better one. Now this one is almost arcade perfect. It's probably one of the better versions of this game that I played. It is New Zealand Story. Now I love this game. I love the Mega Drive version, but actually the Amiga version is the one that I fell in love with first. I had fantastic memories of this one, and it still plays as well as I remember. So this is one that I will go back and play for the playing sake, not just scratch an itch. So I'm really happy to play New Zealand Story on the Amiga again. For some reason, yeah, I prefer it maybe than the Mega Drive. This may be the only game on the list where I potentially prefer it than other systems. But yeah, I will play this one again. I'm really happy to play it. A lot of nostalgia for that game. So 7th place goes to a game you probably would not expect because it's not a good game at all, but I've got a lot of memories for this. So I used to obviously go for arcade games, and anything by Capcom or Sega or Taito I was interested in, I wanted to play. And this one happens to be by Capcom. I later did get the PCB because of this game as well, so I had such fond memories of it, but it's terrible. It plays like an absolute dog on the Amiga. It's terrible, and I don't even remember it thinking that it was playing that well, but I just wanted to get into it. It was Capcom. I had to play it over and over again, and it is probably a game you wouldn't expect. It's LED Storm. Now this is an overhead sort of racing game where it's a lot about picking up petrol cans and items, and then going over jumps. And yeah, it's not a great game at all, but for some reason I loved it. It's also set in the Final Fight universe. So it's actually called Mad Gears in I think in Japan, and Mad Gears is the name of the gang in Final Fight. So it's set in that universe, but it's a terrible game. It really is. But again, I had to play it to hear the sounds. I mean, it does look nice, I'll give you that, and the sound is pretty amazing, but it plays like a dog, and I'm probably going to repeat that over and over again for many of these games. I'm sorry, a lot of my Amiga love is pure nostalgia. A lot of these games I can't play the way it is. So next up is a game that's actually playability wise is pretty good. I'm fairly impressed with it. Back then I really loved this game. From playing it, I used to play the hell of it. It's another arcade game, but it's by Sega. It is Alien Syndrome, and to see the splash screen again for this really brought back nostalgia, because I don't remember ever seeing that since. So just seeing these pictures, it just brings it back. It's just incredible to see again, and the sound as well, absolutely incredible. Like I said, the Amiga, the looks, the sounds are just astounding. But playability, it was okay, but you can see faults in the gameplay. The enemies get you through walls and things like that, but still is a lot of fun even today. But there are better versions out there to play, to be honest with you, but still a lot of fun. I'm happy to scratch that nostalgia little itch there. Next up, a game that actually I reckon this one will play well, but it's not. It can't get it to work properly on the A500. And this is a game I played the hell of, and I loved back in the day. And on the Amiga, yeah, it's good. It's Operation Wolf. Now with the mouse on the Amiga, it's a lot of fun. I did also play Operation Thunderbolt, but for me, all the memories go on Operation Wolf, to be honest with you. Playing it today, still fantastic, but for some reason the speed's all wrong, so I can't play it for very long. You just get hammered. But once I've worked out the speed issue, I'm sure it's a lot of fun, and I'll get to grips with that and actually play that one. So in 10th place on the nostalgia list for the Mega Drive, we have got Gauntlet 2. Now this one actually bumped off another game. I actually forgot about Gauntlet 2. When I added the other one, I was thinking about it, and it kind of reminded me of Gauntlet, and then it triggered. Yeah, I played a whole lot of Gauntlet 2 on the Amiga, and it is a really good port, I have to be honest. I know there's Gauntlet on the Mega Drive, which I haven't played yet, but for me, probably it's one of the better versions out there, and I remember playing this for hours. I used to play the arcade as well, tabletop with 4 players. It used to be fantastic. And then I used to play sometimes also with my sister, Gauntlet 2 on this as well, and my brother. Really, really good game, a lot of fun. And yeah, that's one plus on the Amiga's Gauntlet 2, definitely. So next up is a game which is absolutely terrible. It's awful, but I stuck with it. Again, it must have been an early game, and it's based on a movie, and I really like that movie, so maybe that's why I kept on playing the game. It's Batman the movie. Now, this is frustrating. I even remember being frustrated to hell about this game, but I just kept on ploughing through this game. I put hours into it for some unknown reason. I certainly don't have that patience now to play this game, but I had to add it for that reason. I'm playing it again. Scratch that itch pretty quickly. It's gone. No more itch for that game. Also, I did play Batman the Caped Crusader as well. I remember having that back in the day. That's more of sort of adventure sort of game, but this one has more nostalgia for me. That's why I included it. Next up is a game I mentioned fairly recently. I thought I had a PC Engine version of it, so I had a pickup of a beach volleyball game, and very similar concept, but it's not quite the same game. It is, of course, beach volleyball, the ocean game or whatever. I can't remember the full name, but really good fun. But again, the controls aren't kind of working. I need to play around with it to get it to work fully, so I can't jump, so it doesn't feel as smooth as I remember back in the day. But without getting the controls, I can't really judge it too badly, but it looks and sounds as good as I remember, so I'm quite impressed with that. Next game is definitely one that looks and sounds incredible, and it's just as good as I remember, but playability wise, unfortunately, is not as good as I remember. It's Xenon 2. Incredible music, incredible graphics by the Bitmap brothers, but for me it plays like a dog. It really does. I'm used to fast shooters now, and this one it just feels like you're driving a tank rather than a fast spaceship. Not the greatest of games when you think about other shooters out there. I don't know what it is with the Amiga. It just looks so great. It looks, the sound's amazing, but the playability just can't pull off arcade style of games. I don't know. It's like when you go to a Japanese restaurant, you look outside, they've got all those perfect dishes that are plastic. They look fantastic. You know, you want to eat them, but you can't eat them. They're just plastic. They just look good, but you can't eat them, if that makes sense. I'm going to have to take that out because it doesn't make sense at all, but I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, next game is another arcade game, and back in the day I used to think that this was spot on. It's Marble Madness. I used to love the arcade game. Yeah, you can get blasted with wind in the arcade machine if I remember correctly. But I remember playing this and thinking, yeah, this is pretty arcade perfect. But with the controller on this, no, it doesn't play well. So I have to change the control. Maybe that's the problem. But yeah, sound wise and the looks of it looks fantastic, but I don't think it's as good as the Mega Drive version, I have to say. So I will play it again just to check it out further, but for me, I think I'll be sticking with the Mega Drive if I want to get a Marble Madness sort of bit of a game. So last game on the list before I get on to some honourable mentions, and it's a game that, again, you probably wouldn't expect, but it is an arcade game, so I was probably desperate for any arcade and played any arcade game I could, and it's Zybots. So really pleasantly surprised with this one, to be honest with you. I thought this was going to age terribly, but it's actually a little bit of fun. So I had some fun playing this one again, but again, it's one that it scratched that itch. I'm not really going to be going back and playing this one regularly, but it was nice to revisit it and to see how it is all these years after playing it. So those are my 15 games on my nostalgia playlist for the Amiga. Honourable mentions has to go to one game in particular that got bumped off by Gauntlet 2, and that's the real Ghostbusters. It's a fantastic overhead sort of shooter, very similar to Gauntlet in many ways. That's why it sort of, when I sort of played this again, so I remembered Gauntlet and sort of kicked it off, unfortunately for it. But I do love it. Even today, playing it is fantastic on the Amiga, and cracking arcade game, so definitely recommend you guys to play that one. The other ones are the Super Scalers. They meant a lot to me at the time. Obviously everyone wants to play Outrun and Space Harrier and Thunderblade, but they didn't quite make it because I didn't play them that much, because at that point they were kind of later. But one game that does stick in my mind from that sort of range was the Power Drift. For some reason I played the hell of that and thinking that this was a good game. Playing it back now, it's terrible. Don't recommend it, but it's worth just playing just for the experience. It doesn't play well. Even the PC Engine version is better. And I remember seeing the computer and video games, I think it was one of the covers of one of them, getting excited for Power Drift and playing it, but don't know why, but we have strange things happen back in the day with some of these games. And some of the licensed movies, like License to Kill, for some reason, I don't know why that was stuck in my mind. I remember being frustrated by it, maybe that's why, and it's still frustrating even today. And Ghostbusters 2, the movie as well, and Red Heat as well was one I kind of vaguely remember as well, playing and being frustrated and thinking, my god, this is a crap game. But it's all good. So I've really enjoyed playing these games again, revisiting and scratching that nostalgia itch. So I'm really happy I did get this, and I have no intention of going to collect for the Amiga now after that. So I'm happy to say I don't have the space for it. I don't have the money to go for the Amiga's games. So I'm really happy just to scratch that itch and move on. So yeah, it was really worth me getting this and experiencing these games all again, and it'll be really interesting to see what you guys actually play on this. So I'll be looking at other people's videos and when they review and when they get this. The stuff like I've heard about Banshee and things that I need to play. I never played that back in the day, so there are some games I need to try out, so that'd be quite cool. So like I say, I'm really happy with this, and if you go check out Tutor UK's video or Generation Pixel, you'll get more information about the system and all that good stuff. And for me, it was all about those memories. I've shared them now, I've got it out of the way, I've scratched that itch, I'm going to move on, I'm going to go back to my arcade stuff and my console stuff. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you guys later.